Hey guys, and welcome back to Semajical Pitch, the show where I give imaginary pitches. Now, I'm taking a break, or should I say I'm now finished with the Wizarding World franchise imaginary pitches, because I don't think I'm ever going to get back to them. I'm moving on now to a universe which I dreamt up while using ChatGTP. So now it's time to jump into the nostalgic childhood universe. The NCU. Okay. And this is phase 1 of that universe. 7 films in total to pitch, imaginarily that is. Let's get on with the first one. So first up is Thomas and Friends, the movie. A theatrical adventure featuring Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends, without any of that Shining Time Magic Railroad nonsense. So this would just be a straight up Thomas movie with an adventure with Thomas, Edward, Henry, James, Gordon, Toby, all that lot on the island of Sodor, as they hear about a hidden railway that the Fat Controller brings to their attention, and decides it's time to go and find this hidden railway. So, on this important mission, he sends Thomas, Edward, Gordon, Henry, and James at first, ahead of everyone else. Thomas and Edward would go together as a pair, with Edward pulling an important train and Thomas acting as his pilot engine, or as his backing engine. And then to follow, Henry, Gordon, and James would be pulling their own important trains of passengers. So they're taking passengers on the journey to find the hidden railway. And joining them a quarter of the way into the journey, as they pass Brendam Docks, would be Percy. Then, as they pass the quarry, Toby will join them. And then as they pass the Little Western Railway line, Duck and Oliver will join them. And finally, Donald and Douglas will join them from the branch line. And so all 11 of these engines are on the search for the hidden railway. Along the way, they meet some obstacles, like Bulgy the bus trying to steal their passengers, and some help, like Bertie coming to help take some passengers to the hidden railway. Harold flies up overhead, carrying the Fat Controller. Yes, he's going by helicopter for this, not his car or a train. And as they pass the miniature railway, Mike, Rex, and Bert join in. Okay. So it's going to be almost a free-for-all for all of the Railway series characters on this adventure. And Stepney joins them from the Bluebell Railway. All the narrow gauge engines join in the search. They're all interested. I know this sounds a bit unrealistic, but hey, it's an adventure I'm making up here. So after they've been joined by nearly everyone on the railways, they find the hidden railway and learn that a whole fleet of engines, obviously a whole network of engines and tracks that they didn't know about, operate this railway. But there's one thing that's left in the mystery. There's one thing adding to this mystery. Who's their controller? Do we ever meet the hidden railway controller? Well, yes, because we have the controllers of the other railways here. You know, we have Mr. Percival, who is the controller of the Skarloey Railway, the narrow gauge. And then we have the controller of the miniature railway here as well. Now, this hidden railway, the reason why it was hidden for so long is because there are some shady goings on this railway, which is why there appears to be no controller. Or no controller that they know of. So, what's this hidden railway about? Who controls it, if anyone at all? And does it really exist? Well, yes, it really exists, because they're on it. They were on a mission to find it. Now, as they then investigate the island, they learn bit by bit, or as they investigate this railway, they learn bit by bit that most of the engines on it are steam engines, but there's something not right about them. And yeah, there's something not right about these engines. They're steam engines, but they all appear to be shrouded in mystery. They're known simply by number rather than by name. And they seem to want to destroy the other steam engines. What? Steam engines that want to destroy other steam engines? So they have to find out what's making them feel or think this way. Now, this is where the clever part comes in. The plot twist. Yes, it's going to be a plot twist at the end of this story. We get to meet, after the end credits, we get to meet the controller of the hidden railway. After everything's all wrapped up and they've discovered all the secrets, the controller of the hidden railway is... Diesel 10. Diesel 10 as a railway controller. Or is it? No. That's what they want you to think. So it's not a real plot twist. So that's how Thomas and Friends the movie ends, leaving it open for a sequel. Moving on to the next film though, which will be Zippy's Mischievous Adventure. Now, despite what that thumbnail shows you, this film is actually a rainbow movie. It's about Zippy from Rainbow going on a mischievous adventure. The day begins like any normal day in the Rainbow House. Bungle, Zippy and George are playing nicely together while Jeffrey does some household chores. And then Jeffrey tells them about a legendary portal that opens up and takes them into magical other worlds for adventures. Bungle and George think Jeffrey is just making up a fun story for them, but Zippy believes him. Even Jeffrey thinks he's just making the story up for fun. So Zippy goes out into the back garden where Rod, Jane and Freddy are writing a new song. And when they see him tapping away at the garden wall, they intervene and ask him what's going on. So he tells them about Jeffrey's story about a magic portal. And they think he's funny for trying to find something that isn't real. That is until he steps among the flower beds and, as if out of nowhere, a portal opens up. Could this be the portal Jeffrey was talking about? Well, Zippy wastes no time in jumping into the portal to find out, only to find himself emerging on the other side in this magical village, which is all green with four-leaf clovers and pots of gold dotted all over the place. Yeah, there you go, pots of gold at the end of the rainbow, guys. And having found himself in this land, he goes exploring and meets an army of little leprechauns who tell him about the history of their land and the reason why their portal opened up in the garden of the Rainbow House of all places. And what caused it to open up? Well, not only are these pots of gold normal pots of leprechaun gold, but if you place them at the right in the right places at the right times, they become gateways and they will open up a magic portal. And that's what happened to Zippy. He got sucked through a magic gateway and landed in the land of the leprechauns. And deciding he likes it there very much, he decides to go causing mischief across the land. Back at the Rainbow House, Jeffrey is looking for Zippy out of concern about what he might have thought the story meant, Rod, Jane and Freddy point him to a portal and told him that Zippy ran through it. And just before he goes in after Zippy, Bungle and George happen to be coming out into the garden at the same time, and they see the portal. Meanwhile, Zippy and the leprechauns are singing and dancing and having a merry time, all while Zippy is being mischievous. And he's actually caused quite a bit of havoc across Leprechaun Land at this point. And so the king of the leprechauns wants him to go home. Now, at the portal entrance, back in the Rainbow Garden, Jeffrey, Bungle and George are about to step through the portal themselves to start looking for Zippy. Now, there's only one problem with this. Humans can't go to the land of the leprechauns. So, as soon as Jeffrey steps through, he is transformed into a leprechaun himself. As an avatar sort of thing. But he gets to keep his normal voice. Bungle and George come through and manage to stay as themselves. And then they begin their search for Zippy. And on their journey, during their search, they see all the mischief Zippy's caused so far. Because there are upended pots of gold with lots of gold actually spilled all over the place. Some of their rainbow arches have cracked. And some leprechauns have felt their magic start to fade away. So they need to put things right before they find Zippy. And because Jeffrey has been turned into a little leprechaun avatar, he's also been imbued with some leprechaun powers. So he uses some of his leprechaun magic to restore the damaged parts of the land back to their original state. And then that's when they find Zippy. Is being escorted back to the gateway by the king of the leprechauns. And he banishes them all forever from the land. And the portal will never open up at the Rainbow House again. Ever. So they're sent back through the portal one last time and it is sealed off forever. Jeffrey's now back to his normal self. And because of the damage Zippy caused during his mischievous adventure across the land, he's sent to bed early. And that ends the Rainbow movie, Zippy's Mischievous Adventure. Moving on to our next movie, which is Rosie and Jim's Big Adventure. Two lovable rag dolls are back. Rosie and Jim aboard the Good Boat Rag Doll with John Cunliffe as their driver. But how? Simple. The timeline setting for this movie is during the original run of the series, and it's a John Cunliffe impersonator. That's how we can do this. Because there's no way of bringing the actual man himself back. Sorry, guys. So, and the big adventure is that when the driver, known as Fizgog, but is an actual impersonator playing John Cunliffe, that's right, when he docks outside a mysterious building to go and investigate it, Rosie and Jim embark on one of their adventures after coming to life. They leave the rag doll behind them, and they manage to follow Fizgog into this building. The only thing is, they go off on their own big adventure after following him. And he doesn't even notice, because at this point he doesn't know the dolls are alive, and nor does he through the whole series that he first 2 series is in. So, okay. Now, we learn throughout the investigations that this building used to be a children's play centre. And as Rosie and Jim made their way through the centre, as if by magic, the building starts coming to life again. The lights come back on. Music starts playing. And children start pouring in with their parents to go and play. And Rosie and Jim join them. Now, do the children in the episodes actually see Rosie and Jim? Yes, they do, so they know the dolls are alive. But when Fizgog and the tour guide of what he thought was a museum of the play centre come to investigate what's going on, they see the place is full of life, as happy children are playing in the ball pool, on the bouncy castles, on the climbing equipment, and then, for the first time ever, the adults spot the 2 little rag dolls running around. And that's when John Cunliffe, played by an impersonator, realises that Rosie and Jim have been alive the whole time. So their secret is now out. Their owner knows they're alive. There's no hiding. And right before they can run off back to the rag doll, he catches them. And wow, are they in trouble now for the mischief they've caused? Their big adventure ends after they get caught. And he takes them back to the rag doll, tells them off for the mischief they've caused, and also, as soon as he sits them back on their seats on the sofa, instead of flopping down again like rag dolls would, they stay upright. And the film ends with some thought clouds coming out of Rosie and Jim, wondering what it would be like to be real children. And then our last shot is of John Cunliffe, played by an impersonator, zooming out of a children's storybook that he's writing, and we learn that it's just been a story the whole time, and Rosie and Jim are still sitting on their seat. And that's where the film ends. So yeah, started by having no indication that it's a story he's writing, but have it being revealed at the end as a plot twist. Yeah, there you go. And there's a post-credit sequence that shows Rosie and Jim as real children. Anyway, guys, on to the next movie. Looney Tunes the movie. Now, what this movie would essentially be is an hour and a half long Looney Tunes cartoon. It will start with Bugs Bunny trying to escape Wilma Fudd, who's after him for Wabbit Stew. And as he goes on the adventure trying to escape Elmer Fudd, he's met and teamed up with, he meets and teams up with the likes of Daffy Duck, Foghorn Leghorn, yep, Tweety Pie, Sylvester, and the Tasmanian Devil, as they all help him to try and evade Elmer Fudd. And they all get picked off one by one here. And just right when Bugs himself thinks he's done for, Wile E. Coyote shows up. And Roadrunner shows up. He runs past Bugs. And then along comes Wile E. Coyote. He's always trying to catch the Roadrunner. But little do they know is that they're about to get caught. Elmer Fudd and Wile E. Coyote are about to fall for one of Wile's own traps for the Roadrunner, after getting tricked into running into it by the Roadrunner himself. Meep meep. So there'll be plenty of slapstick comedy here, lots of slapstick violence. But as the movie ends, they tumble into a lush green land of fields of grass and talking flowers and a baby-faced sun, and wonder where they are. And the how am I thinking of these? Okay. They are then met by 4 brightly coloured creatures. Tinky Winky, Dipsy, Lala and Po have come to investigate what's just appeared in Teletubby Land, which then leads into the final standalone film of this phase, and that is One Day in Teletubby Land. Now, this film will pick up right from where Looney Tunes the movie ends. So, it then goes, after resolving that cliffhanger, into its own story. Which means the other Looney Tunes actually disappear. But Bugs Bunny can't get back through the portal and is stuck in Teletubby Land. So the Teletubbies adopt him as one of their rabbits. Oh no. Here comes some uncanny valley right now, guys. As he spends more time in Teletubby Land, he starts to morph into one of their rabbits. And it becomes a CGI creature. And while they're doing that, a human child wanders into Teletubby Land as if out of nowhere and teams up with the Teletubbies on an adventure. And at the very end of the film, we hear the whistle. We hear the whistle of a tank engine. We see 3 little faces peeping up from behind bushes. And the 2 little rag dolls, Rosie and Jim. They've all appeared in Teletubby Land. What a day. And the rest of the Looney Tunes have come back. What a day. And this leads into... Whoa, wait a minute. Back it up. I forgot to put in one more solo movie to make up the full slate of this franchise. The penultimate movie in this phase will be a solo adventure movie for Tots Movie. Tilly, Tom and Tiny are out on their most recent adventure. And where has their magic bag taken them this time? Well, they end up playing peekaboo, jumping out behind bushes in a lush, green, hilly area, which they come to learn is Teletubby Land, when they hear the primitive language of the creatures that inhabit the land. And after a grey rabbit hops up, nibbling a carrot. So when they come out of the bushes, their adventure begins. And all this happens while a train whistle peeps in the background, and as they walk around, they see that some railway tracks have magically laid themselves out, and there's a tank engine on them. Yes, Thomas the Tank Engine is there, going on his tour across the Nostalgiaverse. Now, he only appears in this one scene, as do the Teletubbies themselves, as the Tots then go off on their adventure across Teletubby Land. And as they do, they look up into the sky and see that their son has the face of a baby, because they hear it babbling and laughing up there. And they realise that the flowers can talk after one of the flowers begs them to be careful not to tread on them. And as they go around Teletubby Land, they even see the Teletubbies running up to a hill to watch some human children on the screen, all while there was a human child walking around Teletubby Land. He then just wanders out of there as quickly as she came. Now, also during the Tots adventure, they wander into the Tubbytronic Superdome and have a look around the place, realizing that there's a slide inside the house. They waste no time in going up it and ending up on the roof. Inside they also are met with the Nunu, the robotic vacuum cleaner. Now, knowing that they're in a strange land and that they're strangers in a strange land, it is not long before the magic of the land catches up to them and makes them into the magical event. The film ends with them going back, with them leaving Teletubby Land to go back to their Tots house, the cottage in the woods. And as the closing credits are scrolling, they are climbing into their beds. And then that leads into our crossover event for this phase, which is, of course, going to be making tracks to great destinations. This film actually starts on Sodor from Thomas's perspective, as he's setting off on his journey across the Nostalgiaverse. And as he does this, he picks up some passengers along the way. As he stops by the Rainbow House, he picks up Jeffrey, Zippy, Bungle, George, Jane, Rod and Freddy. As he passes the Tots house, he picks them up without the need of their magic bag. And as he passes the old rag doll, he picks up Rosie and Jim. Now you might remember that by the end of their first movie, they became real children, a la Pinocchio. So this will be them as real children getting into Thomas, not rag dolls. So, and yes, I know. This is all just imaginary, guys. So he's picking these other characters up as he passes where they live. And along the way, he even picks up some characters we'll meet in the franchise. Yep, like in the phases to come in the next phase. Because as he pulls into the Teletubby Land station, as well as going through Looney Tunes Land and picking them up and giving them a lift, as he pulls into the station, you hear some other cheerful voices in the carriages in Annie and Clarabelle. And as they disembark the coaches onto the magically erected platform, we don't see them from their faces, but we see them from their sides and backs. Such characters as Bob the Builder, Postman Pat, and Fireman Sam are there. Oh yeah, there you go. So he visits Greendale, Pontypandy. And wow, this is just getting more insane as I tell you about it. Anyway, making tracks to great destinations, and also introducing us to new characters that we'll meet in the next phase. Anyway, they all get off at the end of the film, looking around wondering where they are. But one of the real-world children on the platform then steps forward, realizing where they are, and shouts, "Uh-oh!" And that's where the film ends. Okay. So the film is actually just Thomas's adventure picking all of these characters up. So yeah, there you go. It ends with him back in Teletubby Land and them disembarking onto a magic platform. And this phase ends right there. And we have a teaser for phase 2 at the end of this film. Can anyone venture a guess as to what the first film in phase 2 is going to be? Let me know in the comments below what your guesses are. Until then though guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a Semajical time.